Hello everyone, my name is Nobukhosi and I'm your host, and this is Voice It Youth Talk Show, a talk show for the youth, from the youth, whereby the youth get to voice out challenges that they may not be able to communicate with their parents, guardians, or even their friends. Well, Voice It has got your back. For the next few weeks, we're going to be tackling a series under the theme Culture and Christian Living. And for this week, we're delving deeper into the topic of how can I live holy in a world that glorifies sin. I'm not alone. Joining me today is my lovely co-host, Brendan.
Brandon Sibanda here, just like she has said. And our topic again today is going to be how to live in a world that glorifies sin. And again, we're not alone. We've got two lovely ladies joining us here on set. And they are...
Hi, everyone. My name is Nobukhosi Sibanda, and I'm one of the guests today. And thank you for having me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Hi everyone, I go by the name Nicole Mpofu, and I'm very glad to be joining the Voice It Talk Show.
Thank you. So, on that note, I've got a set of questions which seem to be problematic in our day-to-day lives pertaining to this question. And one of these questions is, what are some daily practices, that keep people grounded in holiness amidst all the distractions of the world?
Okay, so firstly, it is very important for you to start your day with Christ.
Okay.
So a morning devotion to set the tone for the rest of the day. So before you begin with your devotion, pray. Why is prayer important? You are praying for understanding of what you are going to be reading.
Yeah.
You are trying to avoid a situation whereby you are now passively reading your Bible.
Okay.
You wake up in the morning, hey, let me just get over and done with this.
Yeah.
So you just cruise through a chapter. Pray for understanding, whatever it is that you'll be reading. And even after your devotion, pray for the strength to apply everything you've been reading throughout the course of the day.
Yeah.
So that's the very first thing, morning devotion and prayer. And then throughout the course of the day, guard your mind. Be careful of what you take in, all the media you consume. Be careful what you listen to, what you watch, the conversations you have with your friends. Be very mindful of the words that you speak.
Yeah.
And another thing we can do is have fellowship with other fellow believers.
Yeah.
You are a student at school. Find time throughout the course of the day to meet with your friends, and read God's word, but not just passively reading, but understanding.
Yeah.
This will help you better understand and know who Christ really is.
Okay.
Now, after having done all of that throughout the course of the day, at the end of the day, you then need to reflect.
So the key point being, number one, before reflecting, being understanding.
Understand what
Understanding, because I saw you went, I think, twice or three times.
It's very important
to understand.
It's
very important to understand.
Okay. And then, like I was saying, at the end of the day, reflect. Look back at all it is that you did throughout the course. Questions you should be asking yourself are, did I honor God in all that I did?
Indeed, I understand.
Did I understand, And in the days to come, what can I do better?
Yeah.
What changes can I make in my days so I honor God, so people see God through me?
Yeah.
So I feel like those are practical steps we can take in our day-to-day lives.
Interesting.
Right. Maybe the word holy, or rather holiness, is rather vague.
Yeah.
So maybe we can explain to the people what exactly we mean by holy or holiness.
Well, if I find it difficult to put it into context, right? Being holy, we can put it and say it's being set apart.
Right.
Right. I think maybe somewhere we're going to dive into that along the topic. Being unique, being sanctified, matter of purity, if I may put it again. But now, our main, as Christians, right, our main roadmap to what's it called, to holiness is in the Bible, because the Bible gives us, let me say, a certain perspective on what purity and being sacred means, right? So I think, and again, prayer is key in everything we do as Christians, because speaking to God is one of the most important things we can ever do as Christians. All right. Anybody?
I think another thing, he talked about being set apart. So I also mentioned guarding your mind, being careful what you listen to, what you watch. So with the music you listen to, ask yourself, will people see Christ through me, with this music that I listen to, with these movies that I watch, the conversations I have with my fellow friends, my colleagues, associates and everything. You should be different. When I talk to you, a conversation I have with you should be different.
Should show.
It should show.
Yeah.
So I think guarding your heart, guarding your mind, it goes hand in hand with being set apart, being careful of everything that you take in.
Yeah.
And prayer will help you draw closer to God. It will make you have good decisions in everything that you do.
Yeah.
You creating that relationship with God means you're trying to help yourself live different amongst everyone.
Yeah.
So that will help you in everything that you would do.
Right. So I keep hearing this phrase, set apart, set apart. Now, don't you believe that if you now set yourself apart and you try to be unique, you try to be different, will that not then set you apart from society itself? Now, it will seem like, you're trying to not be with the society. Doesn't that make you irrelevant to society?
Well, living a life that inspires others, drawing closer to God, though, will help you. They won't try and take you away from their circle. They will actually learn from you.
Right.
And it will
Okay. Interesting.
And they'll accept you for who you are because of the things that you're portraying to them. Okay. All right.
I think another thing, it's very important for us to know that it's never going to be easy. Your friends are going to go and drink, it's going to be very difficult for you to say, I will not do this, but that's fine. So that's where prayer then comes in. Pray to God for strength to say, even though my friends are doing this and this and this, I will not do that. It may seem like the unpopular opinion, but that's okay because you are not living for them, but you are living for Christ. So it may not be easy, but it is the right path. It's the path we should be following.
Right. Well, it's nice that you're actually mentioning prayer because indeed prayer is the key. Now, what role does prayer really play in now staying holy or navigating that path of holiness in a world that is full of temptation?
That's an interesting
Okay,
one.
so this world is so full of temptation, like you already said, from social media, peer pressures, and just the normalization of sin as a whole. Temptation is everywhere.
Yeah.
Matthew 26 verse 41 says, watch and pray so you will not fall into temptation.
Yeah.
For the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
What is this verse telling us? Our human willpower is just not enough. It is insufficient. It's not enough for us to resist temptations that will come our way. It's not enough for us to overcome whatever temptations it is that we may face. So you need to pray for spiritual strength to resist, strength to overcome. And in you praying, you are then seeking God's guidance. In all the decisions that you make, you are praying for his guidance. May they be decisions that bring you closer to him, So that's why prayer is very important.
Okay. And I've got another question then. I heard you talk about peers, but now how do we then maintain, the purity in our relationships when it comes to, these things that our friends do and these things that we do and our beliefs? Like everyone's got their own kind of beliefs and there is a belief system within the world. But now how do we then balance our peer-to-peer relations, like the purity within our relationships in this world? How do we maintain that?
In our relationships, we have to set certain boundaries. You tell people what you do and what you don't do.
Okay.
So when you set your boundaries, it makes you be different from everyone.
Yeah.
They are able to accept you the way you are if you set your boundaries and you tell them, I don't do this, I do that. They will just respect your decision. It makes it easy for them to associate with you as you have set your boundaries.
Okay. So which means it kind of like sets aside, it removes the factor of people assuming who you are.
Exactly.
Okay.
They will know that she doesn't do this, she does this.
Okay.
Right. So I see it's a matter of standing your ground. So we have to stand our ground. And I realize that as the youth, it is quite difficult for us to stand our ground because, as you mentioned, peer pressure. Now, how do we then balance How do we find that balance? Because we have friends that do not necessarily have the same faith that aligns with us. So how do we balance living a holy life or leading holy lives while still having friends that do not have the same faith as us?
You should know your values.
Right.
And then you try and align yourself with people who believe in what you believe in.
Right.
Who have the same belief as you. Because when you try to explain to people and tell them this is how I am and they don't get it, I think it's best for you to just step back.
Okay, I kind of have a question on that one. So now
Likewise.
we'll not really have, we can't have a scenario whereby all my friends have the same faith as me. Obviously, we go to different schools where we find different people, and we click with those people. But then it turns out that they do not have the same faith as us. So now, are you meaning that we shouldn't accept such friendships?
Or associate.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't accept them. You have to tell them what you believe in.
Right.
And then set the tone. Tell them, I don't do this.
Okay.
If they don't appreciate you, that's when you step back. But at least you voiced out yourself and you were like, this is how I am. And then...
Okay. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close that segment. Please stay with us. We are Voice It.